Okay guys, I'm going to run you through how to build a sample page. And again, you can use the technique to build your pages however you like. Again, for this book, your pages are going to be 6 by 7, 6 inches tall, 7 inches wide. So for this particular page, this is page 6 of our album, our page set 6. I have a sheet of paper that is 12 inches long and 6 inches tall, scored at 5 inches. So I would just fold on the score and just burnish that. Okay, so that's my base page of 6 by 7. So this one is going to have just a pocket on the front. If I can find my pocket. And a hinge. So again, I need to create that hinge in order to have my tab binding slide in there. And so I make, this is a piece that is 1.5 by 8, a little bit shorter than 8. And then you will score at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch from each side. Fold, burnish. This is thinner cardstock, so I don't have to burnish quite so much. I had a couple of packs of 65-pound black cardstock that I'm using for this because it's so much folds that I wanted a little bit thinner cardstock for it. It's still pretty sturdy. So we're going to put adhesive. I'm using score tape, or it's an off-brand score tape maybe, to put adhesive on those two little flaps. And you're going to butt that right up to the fold. This is the fold in our 12-inch piece. I'll line that up. Hopefully my head's not in the shot. Line that, oops. Cut that just a tiny bit short. It'll still work fine. Okay. And so this is where the hinge is going to go. So I'm just going to write myself a note that the hinge is going to go here. So when I bind the book, the hinge tab slides inside that. So if this was the hinge tab, it will slide in here like this and be adhered, and then this part's adhered to the spine of the book and it allows the pages to turn. I will show you that later. Okay, so I have my hinge. And then this little piece I cut is going to be my little pocket. This is another piece that's about 1.5 inches by 6.5. And you're scoring at 1/2 inch on each side. All of my little tabs that I glue down for pockets are 1/2 inch scores on the side. So that will fit on here and make a very shallow pocket that stuff can go inside. Sometimes I make the pockets really deep and sometimes shallow. Just depends on kind of how I feel and what might be going in there. So for making pockets, what I do is I put a piece of the adhesive, score tape, whatever you have, on each of those flaps. Then I open the flaps and run a line down the bottom of it. And fold the flaps back over. So I pull the adhesive off these two flaps only. I do not take the adhesive off that's here. I figure out where my pocket's going to go and I line it up best I can. I try to get it straight, but I don't go crazy. Okay, so now you can see my pocket's open. We don't want that. So I just take my X-Acto knife and futz around with it until I pull the tape off, and then stick it down, and now we have a pocket. So that's the front of that page. Then on the inside, I decided I wasn't going to do anything with this, just leave it as a photo mat. And over here I want a top-loading pocket, which I haven't created for this particular book yet. Okay, now we're going to make the pocket for the inside. I need a piece of paper that is 6.5, goes this way, 6.5 by 5.5, and you score 1/2 inch on each side and 1/2 inch on the bottom. And then you want to cut these 2 little notches out, kind of just for the bulk. Cuts down in the bulk. Okay, so we'll score. And burnish. Sometimes I do just a little bit of a taper on that. Again, because it gets so bulky. You really should put your tape on first and then trim it. But okay, then you will put your tape. I think this is a 1/4 inch tape that I'm using here. Put on both sides, and then that bottom flap. Move your tape. And then this is the 6 by 12 that you scored at 5. And you want to put this on this 7-inch side of that score right up to the score line, but not touching it, because you want to make sure that your book you're able to open and close. I'm going to take my punch and kind of find the center, just kind of eyeball it and punch a notch. And now you have a top-loading pocket for your book. And you could have a pocket here if you like. I think I'm probably going to do some sort of decorative element here, so I decided to just have the top-loading pocket and not have something that slides in here. If I decide later that I want to add some sort of a pocket, I can always add that. It's very easy just to add something where there's a pocket on the top of your page. But that's how you would do a top-loading pocket. And then this is the back. You can see I went a little above. I'll just take a craft knife and kind of trim that off. I usually trim it up once I get everything put together. Then the back of it, I have a long pocket. So this piece is 4 by 8. You can see that this is a different cardstock. It's a little bit thicker and textured. I just had a bunch of pieces on the desk and I wanted to use them up rather than waste them. So I'm going to use this thicker piece for this pocket. And you can see that sometimes the thicker cardstock will almost tear at the fold. If that happens, I will maybe run the sandpaper or something on it to try to smooth that out. But usually it'll be okay, you won't notice. I'm going to put a little notch, just like the way that looks when you have everything notched. And like I did before, anytime you want to make these pockets, you need to measure the height that you want, and then the width is the same as your page or your partial page, and then add 1/2 inch on each side to score for these little flaps that will allow this to become a pocket. And then some people, I think, flap the bottom also. I tend not to do that. Sometimes I don't even put these flaps, I just glue the paper directly, but it can make them bow very much in the sides. So some people will do another flap here at the bottom, but I found that I don't really need to do that. Not for this particular project anyway. Okay, so now I have the adhesive on my 2 flaps and on the bottom. I'm going to pull the adhesive off here and line this up with my edges of my book. that. And then again, I will just take my X-Acto knife inside there and pull that piece of adhesive off. Some people use glue there instead, but I do not like to use wet glue, so I just use the adhesive. So now you have a pocket there. So that is our 6 pages, our 6-page extravaganza that will be bound here with the tabbed hinge. Some people use what they call a stacked hinge binding, or I think that's what Laura Dennison calls it, and Kathy Orta calls it a hidden hinge binding system. I've always called it a tabbed hinge binding system. I think that's what I learned from bookbinding to call it. I don't know what real bookbinders call it. It's all basically the same thing with one variation or another. So those are the 6 pages that we'll be binding together into our book.